Forget about general commodity consumption for, 2x4s at Home Depot. Forest management practices are important to maintaining forest health. Thinning, replanting, protecting old growth trees are all the things that need to be protected in this struggling industry. So, here to discuss, we're joined by Director of the American Loggers Council, Scott Dane, and also professional forester Bob Williams. Both of you, welcome to Wake Up America Weekend.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, so, Bob, I'll go to you first on this. Look, I own land. I own 100 acres. I do effective forestry management there. And I get yelled at by people, even in the microcosm that I do, which is like, you can't cut down trees. It's bad for the environment. But what if we never cut down trees? What if we didn't maintain our forests like California? Bob, what would be the scenario there?
Well, we're seeing that. It's pretty much a disaster. This whole idea, we don't want you to cut any trees down is founded in the fact that Americans have lost touch with the land. They don't understand that they need wood, number one. They certainly have no relationship with how they function with the land. We're part of the land. We're not invaders or demons that are coming to cut all the trees down. And of course, when you cut trees down, it can be unsightly, and environmentalists take advantage of that. They don't mention the regeneration or the replanting or sustaining the health of the forest. But it really is a political, social problem where certainly our political leaders know nothing about sustaining a forest. And of course, you only need to go out to the Western United States and see the abominable lack of policy to protect and sustain our national forests.
Right. Yeah, well, Scott, let's go to standards here. Obviously, America has a vast consumption of commodities here. We need, like the Home Depot alone. I mean, you walk down the lumber aisle in one single store, you're talking about hundreds of trees in stock at one store. To the housing industry, the professional industry, the corporate, everything runs on the commodities from forestry in some aspect. If we were to just stop logging, I mean, I saw a video that you did on your Instagram feed or a quote that basically says we're being choked out. We're not going to be able to survive much longer. What is that? What are the long-term effect on, I don't know, just something as microcosm as the housing industry?
Well, thank you very much. You mentioned Home Depot, and I think there's a real disconnect between the public and the source of the products they use. Society could not survive without the forest products that are produced. I kind of joke that 2x4s are not born in Home Depot.
Yeah.
You got to go out and harvest the timber. The forest products industry has a $300 billion economic impact on the United States, all supported by 50,000 loggers in the woods. So, it's vital that we continue to provide those services, but because of the environmental misconceptions and some of the lack of competitiveness and public policy, as Bob mentioned, Bob is definitely correct that a logging culture is and has been under attack, which is having a negative impact on rural communities, forest health, and contributing to destructive wildfires.
Yeah, well, that's the bigger problem here. So let's talk about the greenie beanies here, Bob. They have a number of people. They go out, they'll put spikes in trees to mess up your chainsaw blades. They'll protest. They'll go to their lobbyists, their legislators, and say, we got to stop all logging, and if we can't stop it, we got to tax the heck out of them so they can't actually complete the jobs they're doing. We want heavy taxes for how much lumber they carry across the roads. At some point, these people have to be affected in their own lives by this, right? Their efforts aren't in a vacuum.
Well, they tend to want to not look at that. They have a vision that they want, and they don't want to be accountable for the impact of that. They themselves require me to go provide wood, but yet the production of wood is not allowed in an environmental conversation. Yep. You can't talk about one without the other. They also don't want to talk about the critical importance of sustaining specific habitats for specific species. And in order to do that, we need to cut trees.
Correct.
It's a win-win. We can sustain the environment, at the same time sustain a really viable economic engine.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things that is actually the real Green Deal.
But Scott, I got 30 seconds. I want to get to you back. Like, you know, people like me, look, I support good forestry management. I mean, you guys, when you cut down a forest, you not only you not only preserve old growth, but you plant new trees when you leave that grow and create fresh forests for wildlife. These hippies, they go out there and they want you to clean cut a forest so you can have fields to grow their kale for their green smoothies, but they don't understand, how do people support the logging industry?
There is no deforestation in the United States. Okay, let's just get that right up front here. It's a big push and everything else. Deforestation happens in third world countries where we're importing timber from. We need to recognize that we have sustainable forestry practices in the United States. No deforestation occurs, and we do replant, whether it be natural regeneration or replanting. We have more trees growing today than we had 100 years ago in the United States.
Wow. Yeah, and what people also don't know is the majority of your oxygen is actually produced out of the oceans and phytoplankton, not trees. So that's their main argument. All right, Scott, Bob, we appreciate you being here. Good luck. We appreciate you doing the hard work for Americans.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.